as well. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much. On that note, let me just say welcome back to Sufra FM.
Yes,
Definitely
thank you very
a pleasure
much.
as
Always a
always.
pleasure to be on Super FM.
Yes, it is. For persons who may be tuning in just for the first time, tell us who you are in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, well, my name is Elijah Arthur Allain, originally from New Development, Soufrière, proud son of Soufrière. I am a musician. I've been doing music for about 17 years professionally. Started in the Matrix band right there in Soufrière. I moved on to Form Evolution, and I've been doing it since. Former teacher, over 10 years experience, taught at Soufrière Comprehensive, Balata and Babono, but now I've moved on to do strictly music. So yeah, well, not strictly music, but focusing more on music, but on the business of music, I should say.
Nice. And of course, who are you beyond that stage as well?
Beyond that stage, I'm a father of two beautiful children. Big up to my family, very supportive of me. I am a lover of nature, simple things in life, the simple pleasures, the things that, we most times take for granted. These are the things that appeal to me more in life. I'm very calm, very easygoing off stage. The Bacchanal thing, that's just on stage. When you see me off stage, I'm a more reserved individual. So, yeah.
Which is true. Excitingly, let's talk about your recent trip, which saw you performing in Osaka, Japan. What was that all
Yes.
about?
Yes, that was for Expo 2025. And I'm very blessed to have gotten the opportunity to travel with the Expo team. The last time we did Expo was in Dubai in 2022. That in itself was a great experience. In Japan, it was very much different, a totally different culture as well. It's always a pleasure to travel way across the world to represent St. Lucia. That was my first time on that side of the world. I could say the experience was, in a sense, mind blowing. To see people, so many people, who most of them understood very little English, but were so inclined to want to support us and show us love. Just being there and them seeing, I guess they don't see many black people too much. When they saw us, the kids, everybody was walking up to us asking for autographs and, hey, celebrity. They think you were some, big actors, and to them we were a big deal. And to perform to them and see the reception, it was really nice, man. And I was very appreciative to have gotten that opportunity.
Okay, but what can you tell us in terms of the cultural shock for you?
Oh boy, these people are on a discipline on a different level, and they're very routine. You know, you could say they're stuck in their ways, but that's their way. And they acknowledge their way of doing things. You from time you come, then you see the surroundings. I never saw a dustbin, yet there was no garbage anywhere around. Nothing like that. And just you walking up an escalator, you don't have to say everybody's in one particular line, and that's not something that there's someone over there saying, "Hey, do this, do that." They just are very disciplined in their ways. So that in its sense was a shock for me in a sense, but a different vibe, because I really would love to see St. Lucia like that as well. But just to see how they live very minimalistic lifestyles, but very happy in their ways. And it was nice to experience a totally different culture and seeing how they interact with each other. How openly friendly they are. Reminded me of the Caribbean in a sense of how nice the people are. Very warm, very welcoming. The same way in St. Lucia you pass and you greet people. Same way with them. They see you in the store, hey, they would always acknowledge you. And I mean, it was a good experience being over there.
Definitely. Is it somewhere you would love to travel to at your own time?
Ah, boy. Given that, the one thing that would deter me from going over there again on my own is the traveling. It took us about 23 hours to get there. I took about a week to recover, because you're talking 44 hours traveling in the air in 1 week. It was very unsettling, in terms of the schedule, and then having to be up. So there was a time I was up for 48 hours straight. It was a lot. It was a lot, I can say. And it was hard to get into the schedule. So traveling, I don't like those long flights, to be honest. As much as I get to travel often and I enjoy traveling, long flights and me, we don't go too well. So,
It's a very funny thing that you're saying that we
right.
catching flights, no
Yeah,
feeling.
I know, right? I say that, but I enjoy getting to the destination. But you see, the flight itself, not that I'm scared of flying or anything like that, but just being in a plane, crispy and thing, I don't know. It gives me a bit of anxiety. I'll be honest. That I don't particularly enjoy, but the flight, the destination, I'm always happy. Like being in Japan was a great vibe. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Whenever I get to travel out there, I enjoy getting to wherever I get to. But it's all part of the business, so
Which
I
is
embrace
true.
it.
Did you notice any cultural differences in, I mean, how your music was received compared to being in the Caribbean?
Let me tell you, I had an observation, and people actually pointed it out to me. If you see our Soca Mona crowd was like that, it would be great because they were so like every people were in wheelchairs and still responding to whatever I would tell them to do. You know, there were so many people and just the vibe, the energy. That was a bit of a shocker to me because when I came in, I was like, I wonder how they're going to receive us, especially given that most of us were singing soca, calypso, and yes, soca is in Japan. It has been for a bit, you know. But I was interested to see how they would actually react and to see them. Boy, it was like think we're talking about like 2002 crowd where everybody's just jumping, not one person standing up looking at you or taking a video. They were just enjoying the moment, and that's one thing I miss about our modern culture too. Because most times people, we come around and we just in a party and we don't really enjoy ourselves as much. But they came out to have a good time, and that they did, and we were. I'm happy that we were able to put on a good show that represented for St. Lucia and gave a good account of ourselves.
Definitely. We have Jeswell Prosper. Welcome, King Arthur. Nadia Casabo. Nice. Tell us
Yeah,
about
big up.
food.
Was that?
Nadia Casabo.
Oh, the
Nice.
food.
Tell
Oh,
us about food.
I Nadia. The food was good. I had to find my spot. When I finally found my spot, I stuck with that spot and I was happy. It's different. Asian culture, cuisine is it's some people love it, some people don't. I'm kind of in the middle. I got to try out many different things. I realized they use a lot of seafood and shellfish, which I'm not too much a fan of, especially the shellfish. However, I still got to enjoy various things that really hit the spot. Some not so much, but some definitely hit the spot. Not something I could entertain for a very long period of time, but I enjoyed it nonetheless.
But what really stood out for you culinary wise?
It's the the season, the flavors that they use over there, and sometimes even I took a bunch of seasonings back home so I could actually use that, and I really enjoyed the way they prepare the salmon. I had some salmon, but I'm not a salmon fan, and I had some salmon over there. But yeah, that was good. So I appreciate the cuisine.
Nice. What was your biggest takeaway from that trip?
For me is that it don't language does not define the art. Seeing these people appreciate what we portrayed the way that they did, and having not maybe not understood most of what we were even saying, it shows that when we create material that has the right energy, it can reach to anyone in the world regardless of where they're from or what language they speak. So that taught me, just keep going, just push your vibe because you never know, there might be a market out there for you. If sometimes you might think you're not getting enough support here, the world is really, your oyster. You can go out there and make music, create art that can resonate with people from anywhere in the world.
And I'm always happy to bring you here to again shed some light on this where I'm happy you spoke about it though, where there is not enough support. You hear the cries of the artists all the time during interviews or even off the scene as well, where they're
Right.
not getting that support that's needed. But you again coming out of Sophia, you were able to master, your craft and
Sure.
by whatever means necessary, you place yourself on that international stage. So what really worked for you?
Yeah, that was for me, I think, a bit of a challenge, especially in the early days, getting out there and getting the support that I wanted. There's always a talk about the North and South divide. I think it still exists.
True.
Some people say it doesn't, but I believe it does exist. I remember one of the first things a student told me when I was going on the Mon was that, boy, Sufre is like a next island for them. All those things still some people in Castries have never even been to Soufrière. That's to show you. Yeah, and it's a shame when I hear things like that. But I always never let it hinder me from pushing forward. Yes, my career did sort of take off more when I began to live in Castries, but that was a lot because I was in the areas that you have a lot of events happening, and I was able to meet around with the producers a lot easier and stuff like that. Which is why I think that Soufrière definitely needs a bit of injection in terms of getting avenues for artists to really not only showcase their talent but to develop their craft. So I'm hoping that in time to come, stuff like that will change. We definitely need a proper studio house in Soufrière. I really like to make my impact in that regard. We need to get more injection into the arts for the youth, because that's really an escape. And me having my success within, I hope it inspires some young person from Soufrière to believe that, hey, if Alpha Ale could do it, if Manchester could do it, if such and such could, we have had so much successful people out of Soufrière that, hey, there's a possibility that I too can actually make it. So yeah.
Were there any moments where you felt intimidated? I mean, swimming with the big sharks?
Yeah, man, definitely. I remember, I always tell the story of my very first gig at Peter Pat in the Alif Matrix. I was, nobody was connecting with me. And Ricky T had to come on stage and show me how it's done, basically. But, I always told myself that, hey, you can do it too. If they can, what's different? Just because we leave a different place? Nah, you have to really put in the work. And I was never one to really shy away from going hard. And I, yes, I faced the obstacles. I had my days where I felt like I wanted to give up, but I just really kept at it. I never saw myself as any smaller. Yes, I did have that initially. I had that close, small community mentality. But when I was able to break out of that, that was when I started to see the real benefits of the hard work I was putting in.
Thank you. I mean, with the recent conclusion of the carnival season as well, and then we saw all those awesome performances, especially, I mean, you continue to be as dynamic as you are. What can you share with us, your overall sentiments on the season? It ended on a
This
high
isn't what
note, for sure.
it was a good one for me. I had said last year on stage I was not going to compete again. But Ricky T and
You
his
say that
team,
all
they
the time.
yeah, I know, right? But Ricky T and his team reached out to me and they were like, Agasa, when I met Ricky at Showsell Jazz this year, he was like, he had already recorded the song and he said, that is the one. I tell him, I know what you're doing already. I know what you want me to come and do. He tell me do, and then Kati reached out to me the day of submission for Soca Monarch actually. And I was like, well, boy, Harry, because I always wanted to do a song with Ricky T as well. He being an icon in the industry. I took the opportunity to really hop on the track with him and to do the Soca Monarch. I mean, Soca Monarch has done so much for me in the past. I was open to being a part of it and helping to uplift, because whenever you hear the names there, first the Ricky T's there as well as, it does bring some sort of it adds value to the carnival season. So I was able to play my part, and that I did well. And the season went well. We came second. I got to perform at some of the events, and for me, that's always a blessing to get a chance to perform the music that I worked on, because I released a lot of music for the season. So I was happy to get a chance to get to perform them at many events, and
And
being
here
a
we
carnival
go.
ambassador again too. So that was a good look.
Definitely, we also see that good look on you being chosen for, I mean, brand representation as well. It speaks volume, and
Right.
you continue to carry that pride as well for your country, being very patriotic as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me just ask you in terms of what is down the pipeline for you before we get into the nitty gritty of your new album, of course.
Right. For me right now, I'm working on a lot of concepts. The next thing that I'm working, of course, is the album, but I'm also looking at bringing the Arthur Alley Challenge back, trying to make it bigger and better. Once I can get the financial sponsorship, because that has been the hindrance in putting it on. I've always wanted, if I'm gonna do something like that, I want to reward people properly and to put on something of standard. So that's there. Apart we spoke about the Creole Festival. I'm gonna be on there on Ezra's set. That's a good opportunity to travel to Dominica. Before that, we have Miami Carnival that's happening. I'm also featured on the Carnival concert. So, and I'm also for the album, I'm looking to do island wide tour. With that album, you get the band on and go to different spots, not big concerts necessarily, but go to a few spots. looking to hit up Ricky. Let's do something at Whispers. Have something in Castries or something in Fort here and there, so we can spread the music and keep, keep the momentum going, and not just wait for carnival time to get the opportunity to perform. So create the opportunities for not just myself but other creatives.
Which is true. In the near future, do you see yourself as giving back to the community of Soufre in terms of maybe songwriting, music training workshops, and so forth?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's whenever I'm called, first of all, to do so. I am always very open to do so. I always enjoy doing so. As a matter of fact, in terms of with the artists, there's super artists don't pay to use the studio you see I'm in there right now. As much as it's not in the town, whenever they hit me up or want to collaborate, like, it's a given. Just come through. I know the struggle myself coming from Sufra and having to find a studio to record in. So I just open my doors basically to anyone who really wants to work with me. So if somebody's even listening now and they looking for a place to record and they don't have one, you know, mine is open to them, especially for my hometown. There nothing like. I always feel like that's necessary to give back to the place that made me who I am.
Definitely, and I've heard some good things of you from Brainfire Records, Brainfire
Yeah, man.
Studios as well.
Bigger brain fire. Yeah, we have work to do. So yeah.
Yes. Now, what inspired Getting It Good, your new album?
The inspiration behind getting it good. Well, we just actually mentioned Brain Fire. The song, the title track of the album is Getting It Good, which was written by Saint Branson Solage, all mix myself. It was a whole crew of us. We held a writing camp last March, and it was actually to create music for the album. And that was one of the songs that came out of it. And I was like, you know what? I like that title, Getting It Good, because it speaks about not just the vibe of the song, but the vibe of us as a people, Caribbean people. We like to get it good. We like a party, we like a fete, So that I was like, let me put together a 10-track album, and I want to create something that can represent who I am as an artist. Because I am not just a soca artist. I'm a musician. I sing all different type, all genres of music. And the album itself is a melting pot of Caribbean sounds with a bit of zouk vibe, a little so groovy soca, power soca. There's a booyah track on there as well. The Afrobeat connection is there. So it's a mixture of different sounds and really represents who Alpha Ale is as the artist. My hope for the album is that it can be something that represents me as a brand and take me beyond, So when I do the island tour, hopefully I can take that concept and bring it to the regional market, touch the West Indian diaspora, wherever, and hopefully, sometimes the world is the open market. So yeah, man,
Definitely bigger Brainfire Records for sure.
big up, big up.
Yeah, man. Speak to us. When will be the official launch or release of such a project?
All right. So today's first day, right? So midnight tonight, the album will be available on all digital platforms. The full album, 10 tracks. I'm also going to have a live band performance of the album. That's going to be streamed live from my Facebook and my YouTube page. So you can follow me after Ale. You can get to experience all the songs in a live atmosphere. Myself alongside the Impulse Band. We've put together a nice live band compilation, jams and everything to make it feel like you're in a party to enjoy the music. Because sometimes you hear the songs and you feel like, boy, you already gravitate to it unless you hear a live band knock that tune for you. So that's what we looking to put on. So tomorrow you can tune in to my page 8 p.m. sharp. Once the news finished, bam, head over to my YouTube page or my Facebook page, and that's gonna be on there, and you can get to enjoy it. You can get the album on iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, whatever you listen to the music on. YouTube, also going to be on Bandcamp. So if you feel like supporting half of the artists and donating a little extra towards the album, because trust me, this took a lot of money to put together, a lot of favors, a lot of hard work, a lot of time, a lot of everything, a lot of energy into it. And I put my heart and soul into it. So I hope that people can appreciate it and give it the support. Sometimes a little like a little share, it goes a long way in taking the product beyond just these walls here.
How would you describe the sound and vibe of this project compared to your past work? I mean, here you speak with such passion and enthusiasm.
Right. So the previous albums, in the first album, it was a dancehall album. I wanted to do something different, so I call it The Other Side. The other one was an album I dropped when I left Soca Monarch. It was just strictly it was pretty much a mix, but I didn't invest my. It was just that after the end of the season, I said, you know what, let me just take all the songs, put it in a compilation. This time around, it was carefully curated. In terms of the tempo build up. How the album starts with getting it good, nice and bouncy, kind of burning flame sort of vibe. Going into Caribbean Queen, something for the ladies. Have the little lover section with Dimwe and Show Me, which is another new song on the album. And then it picks up a little pace, Fly Snow Feeling. So you get into the hyper songs. It takes you on a journey, basically. A nice climb, nice slow climb up to the power. Say less to close the album. So it's a nice 10 compilation that I hope people really can listen to you in their living rooms and whilst they cleaning their rooms and enjoy, or just in a party and DJs knocking the songs. I hope people really enjoy that whole vibe of the album.
Thank you so much for that. Is there a particular track on the album that's closest to your heart, and why?
I was just asked that question recently, and and Dimwe for me is this song. It's really sorry, almost a year Dimwe has been out, but fun enough, it's one of my favorite songs that I've recorded in my entire career. Just the whole vibe of it, and it's that sentimental value. It's something that's personal to me, so I really enjoyed creating it and even performing it too. It's a song that every single gig I sing that song every night, so it's a big part of my repertoire, and I enjoyed it.
Nice. What do you hope listeners will feel or take away even after listening to your album?
I just hope that the album can make somebody smile and feel good. That's my objective with my music, is to touch emotions of people, that regardless, even if you're not a fan of soca, but you can listen to the songs on the album and it can make you feel good, because like the name is, getting it good. So you decide how you get it good. Whether it be jamming on a bumper, or whether it be just reminiscing on a love fantasy or something, or whether it be just chilling and enjoying what the album brings. I just hope that it brings you some good vibes and you get it good.
I mean, with the flow of all your creative juices, as a singer, a songwriter, a producer, how do you balance wearing all these hats?
It's a lot, I say, but to be honest, I sometimes you have to put your tail between your legs and just keep going. The pressure gets hot. Bills have to be paid, money has to be managed, and for me, I just take it one step at a time. Thankfully, I have a very supportive team around me. My family are very supportive of me, and I don't get the nagging when I'm in the studio late hours. I work a lot at my music, but I also make time for everything else as well. Thankfully, having left teaching, I now can dictate my hours for the most part, apart from my late night gigs. But my days, I can decide how it goes, and that's really a plus for me when you self-employed. So I just try my best to balance it, because balance is very important in life. So it can't just be all hard work. You have to make time to enjoy the simple things sometimes.
In the music scene, who would you like to emulate and why?
Um, I draw inspiration from a lot of other artists, and I don't try to be anyone else, be the best Arthur Alley version I can be. But there are other artists who have influenced me heavily. Guys like Kess, people like Barry Hammond, Bob Marley, Bruno Mars. For me, these are the kind of people I look to when in terms of performance and vocal ability. That I take little pointers from here and there and incorporate it into my own game. So yes, I'm original, I'm me, but I also have little pieces and bits and pieces from different people in the industry as well.
A minute after 12 in Surface and Ocean, of course, the Eastern Caribbean. Interestingly, for those of you just joining us, say good afternoon to you. It is Arthur Elijah Allain. It's a pleasure. There are always challenges amidst any and everything. How are you able to push through?
For me, it's just been a matter of, I've always been a positive individual, and no matter what I go through, like I always tell myself, like the tough times, they don't last. It's sometimes hard mentally to overcome those things, but I had the year 2014 was a very balanced year for me, in terms of, it was great where Matrix ended up being on main stage jazz, but it was also bad because we fell apart in that same year. Relationship fell apart, new one formed. I went from not having any success as a solo artist to coming out first runner up in Groovy Monarch. So that taught me that life is balance. And whenever those rough times come about, I always tell myself, boy, just ride the wave. Eventually, it's going to get better. So I always keep positive and just keep pushing forth. Songs don't hit, it's all right. Maybe the album doesn't do well. That's all right too. Just go back to the drawing board, keep pushing, keep going at it, because the easiest thing to do is to give up, so let's sometimes the easier route is not the best route, and I just keep going one day at a time. Eventually I'll get to where I want to get to.
Let's speak to impact. Maybe how do you see solution music evolving, and where do you see yourself in that journey?
Solution music has come a long way. The we segment had its real boom a few years ago. We've seen it slowly decline, but it still has its presence in the world market. I really feel that what we do as a people is to really go back, look at what we have, look at ourselves in the mirror and see what we have as solution that is uniquely ours, and see how we can incorporate it with modern trends with our own vibe, and see how we can keep evolving, because that's important. A lot of times things a phase comes out and everybody jumps on a particular bandwagon, but we have to see how we can define ourselves and really see how we can change things up a bit, maybe not entirely, so we don't lose our identity, but evolve. That's a very important part of it. And for me, I like to play my part in terms of mentoring, in terms of giving advice to other artists, and myself just creating as well. I've thought about it myself. I had a discussion with a producer recently, just last week, and we're talking about fusing authentic St. Lucian sounds, not just the Denry vibe, but the Sets and the Scats vibe, and all those folk sounds, and incorporate it into the new sounds and create something that can be identified as St. Lucian, but it's also up there, can sit with all the other sounds that are trending around the world.
Definitely. Earlier, I asked in terms of who would you see yourself emulating and whatnot, and you did answer that nicely. But then, what continues to inspire you today? I mean, your family here for sure. You have that full support as well, the music fraternity as well. But are there any additional you want to like just pay that homage to?
Um, Boy, I'm always indebted to everybody who's created an impact on myself, as just more than just the music, beyond the town that raised me. I always big up Mr. Christopher Favre. I haven't seen him in years, boy, but he's one of those persons from the early get go who gave me a really push in terms of the music and creating, from recorder days to writing music. So I'm always thankful for that. Music is something that I it live breathe. So I take inspiration from everything around me, from life, from my own experiences, from others' experiences, and for me, I just want to create moments in time, so where you can think back to a particular moment. Fiona Compton messaged me recently, and she sent me this long thing, but I thought it was a forward, And when I read the message, it was like she was describing a particular moment during Nottingham Carnival, where she said like everything just stopped, and she heard Numb playing, and that just created such a vibe for her that she had to reach out to me and explain to me in long detail of how, and that kind of touched me, to see that the music can create an impact, so far across the world. And these are the kind of things that I want to continue to do, to inspire people with my music, to make people feel good and get it good. Yeah.
Okay. As an artist as well, do you think music overall can help foster change in the community, and especially the behavioral patterns we see among the youth? And again, if I were to speak to Sophie as well.
Yeah, man, definitely. I think we have a responsibility as artists to create music that, leaves a positive impact on people. Yeah, we have those bad boy tunes that people love and everything like that. But for me, as a former teacher myself too, I always maintain that I want to keep my music clean. I will cross the edge here and there, make it give a little bacchanal, but not too bacchanal that it makes people want to do certain things. And I think with all the crime that's happening around too, I think it's important that we put messages that can help, put youngsters in a better frame of mind. And music can be used to spread various messages. Speaking of Nadia, we just did a song for the campaign, for the Flowing Clean campaign, and I lent my voice to that. So that was also important for me to be a part of vibes like that to preserve the environment. A few years ago we did Restoring the Pride for the Peter management area. So it's important to use music to carry out those messages. So that's important.
Thank you for that. What quote drives you?
What quote drives me? I'll tell you one. It's not an actual quote, but I always say this to people. After the world is a cycle, but so when they say after joy comes sorrow, that can only means that after sorrow comes joy. So don't dwell on the bad times. Rain only falls for a particular time. The sun must shine again. So I always use that as a mantra to keep going regardless of the rough times, and eventually things must get better.
So does Buju Banton, yeah?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. We know you're busy for sure. So what's next for Arthur Arley? Any tours, collaborations, or again, other upcoming projects apart from your release? What should we look out for? And in closing, again, make that appeal to let persons know what is set to happen in terms of your unfolding album.
Right. So from right now, the main focus is the album. From there we go on to Miami Carnival and then to Dominica and back home and just create more memories, man. And hopefully the island tour can pop off and happen very good. Hopefully the Arthur Ale challenge can happen again. These are the main projects in line for right now. In terms of collaboration, I've been reaching out to various persons, making the networks so that I can create more music for not just now, but next year Carnival. I'm already looking to work on that. But for tomorrow, ASAP, that's the next thing. You can tune into my page, Arthur Allain, on YouTube and Facebook. You can get the live performance of the album, Getting It Good. And from midnight tonight, it will be available on all streaming platforms. So go out there, support it, show it some love. I appreciate the support I've been getting thus far. And I look forward to the next time I get to perform, especially in Soufre. We on that brunch that Harmonies Bar is doing. So look out for that December. So yeah, man, I appreciate the love and support. I always appreciate Soufre FM. Big up y'all, big up you as well. Miss, I appreciate you having me on the show. So thank you. Saudi.
Anything else in exiting?
Nah, nothing, man. Yeah. Just thanks and appreciation, man. Much love.
Okay. It is now 10 after 12 in Service and Lucian, of course, the Eastern Caribbean. This has been Mr. Elijah Arthur Arley, and just to share some light with his recent trip from Osaka, Japan, as well as his album release. So please stay tuned to that. Definitely, you cannot afford to miss it. One of my favorite songs there for sure. Getting it good, Yes, not because of the story, but then, yes, I love that
Yeah,
song.
man. Big
But
up.
then
Much
some
love,
persons
man.
again who send in the comments, Jeswell Prosper and Nadia Kazabor, thank you so much. And to all those of you who actually listen, though you may not have sent in your comments, we do appreciate you and love you so much. This is the end of today's edition of House Guest, Thursday the 25th, 2025. Mr. Ali, have yourself a productive one. And of course, looking forward to another dialogue with you sometime soon.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Appreciate you having me. Have a good one. Take care.
You as well.